Hey everybody and welcome back, and yes, today we are going to be looking at the ArtiumPro SMC 2.2, the brand new update that includes brand new market structure with complete new logic, real-time price action. We're also going to be looking at the new order block update. This is quite a major update, the market structure and the order blocks together, along with some other minor updates, fixes and aesthetical changes. So with that said, let's just get straight into it. Okay, so as you can see on my chart here, I have got a rather beautiful screen going on. Okay, so for those of you that already have access to the indicator and you haven't seen the update yet, all you need to do is come up here to indicators and go to your invite only scripts, and you're just going to search for the ArtiumPro Smart Money Concepts. This is already updated. As soon as you remove it and replace it on your chart, you're going to get the updated version. If you don't already have the indicator or have access to it, you can get access on the website. I'll drop a link in the description below to make it easier for you. Let's dive into the settings and go through setting up this indicator. Okay, so as you can see on my screen, these should be default settings. But we're going to go in and go through these settings anyway, so you can see what each of them does and how you can best use them in your trading. Okay, so to get into the settings of the indicator, just come up here and click on the settings cogs. That's going to bring you straight inside to the settings. Now, if you don't have it on your chart or you get in an exclamation mark, one error could be that you haven't typed agree, and agree has to start with a lowercase a. Okay, once you press agree here, the indicator will show on your chart. Okay, so let's move down to the first setting, main market structure. Okay, so show main market structure is on by default, and the source, by break source, this means whether it's going to break by a wick or it has to wait for the close of a candle, is default at close. If you want to change it to wick through to break market structure and cause a break structure or change character, then you can change this to high low. We have two types of market structure in here. Depending on how you map structure, you'll want to use the one that suits your mapping best and the way in which you look at the chart, the way in which you look at the structure. We have one called high low. This is just our referencing for how this mapture. Okay, we have high low, and this is just our referencing. It's what we've named how we're mapping the market structure here. Then we have one called traditional. If you would rather use bigger waves for your market structure, your main market structure, and get rid of some of these small pullbacks that you may not class as a pullback, you can go to traditional here. I actually map market structure this way here, and so I leave it on this, but you can mess around with this and see which one works best for you and the way you trade. And as I said, high-low is as default. Okay, we have extend here. This basically means this is for your high and low lines. So as you can see, we've got a main swing high here, and this blue line is coming all the way out to the end of the screen. If we was to unextend this by unticking that box, this line would become shorter here, and that's all that does there. So I generally leave this extended because it's clear to me that the extended lines are the highs and lows. Okay, we have a box here called just last active, and I'll show you what that does in a moment. For max side active 2, this is for your swing highs and lows as well. And if you want to show more than just your current main swing high and your main swing low, which we don't have the current swing low because it hasn't created a low. Market is still moving down. We haven't created a low here yet. But once we do, a low will be created and a white line will come out to the end of your screen here. Let me take this up just to show some additional high lows, and you'll see more highs and lows popping up. Okay, like right here. So we've got a swing low here, a swing low here. The more you put on, the more will appear up and down. Now, if we're right at the bottom, even if you have 7, 8, 9, 10, okay, it's just going to show the last available ones, even if you've got it to show more, especially if we've been in a long time bullish or bearish run, where we don't actually have any close enough to show us previous active highs and lows. If I turn this to just last active now, what's going to happen is these are going to disappear, and it's only going to show the last active, which we don't have. Okay, so this is just going to show the current high, right? This is not active anymore. This is an old low down here, so it disappears. Okay, take that down to 2. This is on 2 as default, and just last active should be on as default as well. Okay, and boss and chalk 30 each side basically means how many break of structures and change of characters on the main market structure you're going to see going back in time. Okay, once you hit 30 of each, they will start to go away. You ordinarily get more breakup structures than you do change your characters, so your boss lines will start to disappear before your chalk lines. Okay, now really you probably don't need to see this far down in the past. And the reason we've done it like this is so that you can bring it in as focused as you need. Okay, so if you come down here and you only want to say the previous 5, you can just turn this down to 5 here. Okay, and that will, let's turn this to 10 because you get more chalks. Okay, and that will bring in your structure to a much closer range. Okay, for people that, you know, look at the market more focused and you just want to see what's happening right now, and you can take an overall glance of what's happened in the past, then that will do that. That will turn off those for you. Okay, and you can just set them to, you know, whatever works best for you. Okay, so I'm just going to put it back to default. Okay, the MIT line here. All right, let me show you what this does. Okay, this is really useful if you want to see where old highs and old lows have already been taken out. Okay, and if I start to pull these up here, say, and I'll just put them at 7. Okay, and again, how many lines show in conjunction to what you turn on will depend on how many lines you've got showing on the chart. So the indicator can only plot a certain amount of lines, boxes, and labels. If you go over these lines that are already plotted, it doesn't matter how high this is, we'll start to lose data further back. Okay, so that's just something to be aware of. Okay, so as you can see here, and I'm just going to pull that down, as you can see here, we now know we have broke a previous low here. Okay, so we had our chart, a boss, and then we took out previous low. You can keep increasing how many you want to see here by also increasing the active side and then taking off just like last active in conjunction with the MIT, and that's going to give you more lines here. Okay, you can see we also took out a previous low there before we reversed and went back up beautifully into this order block before breaking back down here. And I'm going to show you some more about the tools we can use to see where we're actually in the market in a moment. We've taken out a previous high here, we've taken out a previous high here and a previous high here. So you can see all of that just by playing around with these settings and increasing the max side active and the max amount on MIT. Okay, and as you can see here, max side active, and that brings up all the previous highs that have been classified as a high at any point. And the more you want to see, the more you just increase your levels here. Okay, now if it does stop increasing, like I said, that is probably because we've got too many lines on the chart and we start to lose data once we hit a certain amount of lines. Okay, but as you can see here, now what these would do at this point before this gets broke, this would just show an old active high, an old active high, an old active high. And once they break, these lines will change to previous high, previous high, previous high. Okay, so you can actually see where liquidity lies without looking back on the chart. You can see that this is an old high and there could be liquidity lying above here. If you're looking to at any point go back down, you can look to see where we might be moving to take out liquidity. Okay, so that's that, and I'm just going to put everything back to default before I move on. You can turn on the labels and turn off the labels, so you don't have to have your labels on if you don't want them on. If you just want to know a solid line means a main market structure break or chop, you can turn them off to clean up the chart, or you can change your line as well. If you don't want a solid line and you just want a dashed line or a dotted line, you can use these as well. Okay, the mitigation labels, we've actually coded this so that you can specify what these labels are. So if you want to know, if you don't want it to be called a previous high or previous low, you could call it a MIT high. Okay, and that will change the label on there. So if I change this to 1, so you can see here, it'll pop back up on the chart. We had one right here. Oh, hold on, let me click out of the box. You have to click out of the box to make it work. Okay, so you can see here that the line has changed on here. So this is customizable for you. You can name these previous highs and lows, whatever you choose to name them. Okay. Oh, that's a high. Okay, and we also did the same for chalk and boss. Chock and boss is pretty universal, but sometimes people won't call it a chock and people will not call it a boss. They may call it a market structure shift or breaking market structure or something like that. So you can also rename your boss and chock lines for your main structure as well. So we hope that that's useful for you if you look at things slightly differently or you label things slightly differently in your trading. That'll help you keep things, how you usually look at them and trade. Again, more customization here. You can change the colors of your bull and bear lines and the colors of your bull and bear text that go along with your main market structure as well. Okay, so moving on down to the traditional. Okay, so if we change this from high-low to traditional, you'll see the market structure change here in a moment. Okay, and as you can see here, it's changed. You've got bigger ranges on your market structure, on your main market structure now. And this is basically if you use percentages rather than your candles actually being the price action. So if you don't specifically look for the candle action for your trading and you've got a range here and you want to see this pullback being a certain percentage of this leg before it's classified as an actual correction back down before the move back up, then this is the one that you can use, and you can specify down here in your main market structure traditional settings what you're going to use as a retracement. So if you want to see from this leg here to this leg, if you want to see this pullback come to 50%, okay, you would set this to 50%, and all pullbacks that match 50% will create new market structure. Okay, you can choose the sensitivity here on how sensitive the market structure is and where it picks up highs and lows, and you can set this to what looks and works best for you and your trading. We've tried to make it as customizable for you as possible. And so with the percentage and pips and points, you can just play around with those settings as well. If you change it to percentage, this is what you're going to use here. If percent, then you choose your sensitivity here. And if you're going to pips and points, you are going to use your sensitivity down here. Okay, so I'm going to change it back to high-low. This is real-time price action based on what the bars are actually doing, not on percentages or anything like that. So I'm going to stick with that. That's the way I actually map structure myself. And now let's move on to internal. Well, this high-low here, delay filter, will put a delay on when it finds the low. Okay, so if we get a pullback here and we find a low here, this will put a delay on finding that low, which some people might like. You might want to actually have it come further up before the low is found, in which case you can use the delay filter. And then let's move on down to internal market structure. So internal market structure is also on by default. If you don't want to see internal market structure and you just want to work off main market structure, you can just turn this off and all of the internal market structure will disappear. Okay, and you'll just be left with your main market structure. Okay, so if you want your chart to look cleaner, you can do that. Also, this is set to close, so if you want internal structure to break by a wick, then you can change it to high-low. Otherwise, it will break by the close of each candle. Okay, we've got two settings here as well on how we determine how strong a swing point is internally. So an internal swing point would be by using these two settings. This will also explain what it is. So if you're not sure, you can just hover over any information to give you some tips on the tools and what they do. Okay, again, this is the same extended. If you want to see the internal highs and lows extended across your screen, and if you just want to see the last active, these settings work exactly the same as the main market structure does. Okay, so for this, obviously because we get more internal structure breaks and change of characters, then we have this set to 50 as default. If you want to reduce that to have a more focused area, then you can reduce that down to whatever setting that suits you best. On here, again, you can turn off your label. You can change your style to dash, dot, or solid. We have it on dot as default, so all of the lines going across that are dotted like this, you can tell at a glance that this is your internal structure. Also, we have it labeled, so it's IBOS for internal, it's MBOS for main. Okay, so that should make it pretty clear just at a glance for everybody. Again, you can change the labels on the chock and boss internally as well, and you can also change the colors as you can with the main market structure. Okay, now this is to make sure that your internal structure works well with your main structure. if you change this to 3, it will make sure that the lines don't fall on or outside of these areas, so it just helps keep your chart cleaner. Okay, next we have main market structure fibs. These are going to help you determine the price level that you're at inside of a range. Okay, and obviously, you know, when you're going bearish, you want to buy in a premium range because we sell at a premium. And obviously, when you're going bullish, you want to buy at a discount area because when we buy, we want to buy at a discount price. Okay, so I'll show you that working here in a minute. As default, we have it turned on. We have the 0.5% turned on and the extremes turned on, which is the 0 and 1, and it's labeled green and grey, so you can see the green line standing out. Okay, you can also turn the labels on for these as well, so it will show you which fib level it is, and obviously you can turn on which other levels you want as well if you wish to see more than just the premium and discount area. Let me zoom in here, and you can see here we've got our old low because we haven't found a new low yet, so basically it's taking this full range here, giving you the low, and the high comes in at the main swing high, and we can see right now that we're inside of a big discount area for this entire leg. And we're actually just coming into this order block here. And as you can see, as we enter this order block, we actually mitigate the blocks for you. So you can see at a glance how far inside of an order block price has already come and mitigated. So say, for instance, we were all the way over here and you couldn't see that price had come in down here and mitigated. You don't need to be able to see that. You can see, okay, this order block's already been mitigated. You can go back and have a look where it occurred and what happened at that point. Okay, so this is where we are currently in price. This is just updating live. But as you can see here, like I said, we can see the mitigation extent here, and we can also see how far it mitigated into this order block, okay, before it came back down here. And that's a beautiful tap in. All right, now obviously this has come on high impact news, so you need to be careful of that. Okay, so let's move on to the next setting, which would be, we've done the fibs, we've got the main structure order blocks. As a default, the main structure order block source is set to range, which is from the very top to the very bottom, okay, the high and the low of the candle. We can change it to only do the body, or we can change it to do open high and open low. Okay, so if it's on open high, this will be for your supply zones right here. So it'll open of the bullish candle and it'll close at the high. So the first part, the lower wick, will not count towards the order block. And for the demand zone, it would be the same, open low. So if, let me just find a bearish candle, even if it's not an order block. Okay, so let me just change that here. I'll change it on main and I'll change it on internal, just so you can see how that looks when it's changed. And if I zoom in here now, it should have changed to, I'm getting closer. It doesn't count the wick anymore for this order block. It starts at the open and it finishes at the close, okay? And you don't have to specify which one it's doing it on, it does it automatically for you. Okay, so if I go down to a demand order block that we've got down here, you'll see the same things happen. So for a demand block here, you'll see it open to low, and the top part of the candle wick is not counting towards the order block. Okay, let me pull this over here again, and now we'll go back down to the order blocks. Okay, so as default, it'll be on show. Order blocks will be on. We will also have historic order blocks showing, and there will be midlines showing as well. As default, the distance, and this is how far out the order block goes across your screen. Okay, like this, pull it to there. Okay, and that's how far out the order block goes across your screen. So if we change it to small, then they'll come inwards. Okay, and once that's loaded, and then if we change it to medium, then they'll pop out a bit more. Okay, and we'll change it to distant, and it'll pop out a bit more. And if we change it to fully extended, they will extend all the way off the screen. Some more customizable settings for these is you can choose your mitigation depth, okay? So you can go all the way up to 99.9 from 1, and the source of the close will come as default from the high or low point. So once it's wicked to this point here, it will then make it a historic order block, or it will make it disappear if you don't have historic order blocks turned on. Okay, if you do not wish for a wick to invalidate an order block, you can simply change it to close. Okay, and this means then that in order for an order block to be invalid or to be mitigated, then the candle would actually have to close above or below that order block. Okay, so I'll change that back to high low, and we can change the colors here to whatever you want. And this would be the infill, then the border, you can also change that to whatever you want, and the midline also. The same with the supply colors as well. You can turn off the text if you don't wish to see them in the supply and the demand order blocks. Okay, and that will remove them from the main market structure. Okay, and I'll put them back on. The borders you can change. If you don't want them solid, you can change them to dashed, or you can change them to dotted. As you can see down here, it's changing the way the order block looks, so that's fully customizable as well. You can change the midline, solid, dash and dot also. Okay, and the amount active per side you can choose here, and the amount of historic order blocks that you want to see on the screen you can also see right there by altering these two numbers. Okay, so I'm going to change that back to range. The internal order blocks, all the settings here are exactly the same as the main, so I'm not going to go over them again. Okay, fair value gaps, we can turn on a fair value gap. As you can see here, we left a massive imbalance in the market when this price dropped down with the news. And as you know, with a fair value gap, or an imbalance as it's otherwise known, once this happens, we are leaving inefficiency in the market right here. The price has a tendency, it doesn't always have to do it immediately, but it has a tendency to come back up and fill this price. When this happens, we have an imbalance of buyers and sellers, and in this scenario we have an imbalance of sellers to buyers. The price moved so fast that the buyers were not able to get in the market, so now we have an inefficient market that needs to be balanced, and at some point it will come back up here to balance this inefficiency out. Okay, this fair value gap, imbalance, whatever you want to refer to it as. We can also show historic fair value gaps, and we can extend the boxes of these as well if you want to see these go off the end of your chart. If you don't want to see them go off the end of the chart, you can just leave them how they are. Okay, and if you don't want to see your historic fair value gaps, you can also just turn them off. Again, we can change the colour of the box. Now, when you change the colour of the box with the fair value gaps, it will also change the outline as well. So the outline and the infill will always be the same colour. You can change the colour of the midline line to something different if you wish to do so. And the bear is the same. You can also remove the display labels if you don't need to see these, if you can just tell from a glance that this is a fair value gap, the way you've got it colour coded. Okay, you can turn off all the labels to clean up your chart. You choose how many per side that you want to see. You can choose the tops and bottom lines. We've got extra lines over here if you want to add a little bit more to the imbalance so that you can differentiate just from looking at it. Okay, and you can set the transparency of these as well. So if you bring the transparency of this down, you can actually see there's a slight dashed line there as well. Let's move on to the equal highs and lows. Okay, so these will be off by default. If you want to switch them on, you can just switch them on by ticking this here. If you want to see more than just the last one, you untick this box. This is going to show you further back in the chart. Okay, so if you want to see them further back, then you can increase this. If you want to see them at the wick, which I do, you'll have to change this to high-low because it is set currently at close for default, so that needs to be changed to high-low, and that will do you equal high-lows at the highest and lowest point, so the wicks. And here is a setting we've included to give you extra customization. So if you don't want to see highs and lows that are real close together, say 2 bars, 3 bars apart, and you want to see highs and lows that come further apart with more distance, you can choose how many bars in between the highs and lows that you want to use. Okay, obviously if you've got it on 10, then anything inside of that number won't show as a high and low. Okay, so if you take that down, the closer they are together, the more you'll get highs and lows that are actually closer together. The sensitivity here changes how much of a difference between each high or each low you want to see. Okay, so if you want it to be really sensitive, then this will just show you exact highs and lows. If you want to see relative highs and lows as well as just equal highs and lows, then you can turn it on. Now obviously for this, the higher the time frame, the higher you'll have to go on the sensitivity if you want to see relative equal highs and lows, and the lower the time frame, the lower the sensitivity. Okay, you can turn on the labels for this and it will actually show you with the label what you've got, and you can also change from solid dash to dotted lines if you want to do that as well. Okay, now twins is basically what we've just termed for candles side by side. Okay, so if you've got an equal high and the candle is side by side, this would be twins. Okay, so if you want to see more than one, okay, candles that are side by side, then you can have it at 2. So as you can see here, we've got an equal high here. These 2 candles are equal highs, and these 2 candles are equal highs. Okay, there, if you want to see 3, 4, 5, this will show you all of the twins based on how many numbers you've got. So side by side candles. Okay, and again, you can change the color. Okay, and how many active per side. You can change the amount right here. So I'm going to turn that off. And we have got the outside candle and the previous day range as well. So the outside candle works just by a candle that fully engulfs the previous candle. Basically, that's all it is. So if this candle here was to end down here, then this would be an outside candle. This is used quite often when people are looking for a change of direction. You find it more useful on the higher time frames. So here we've got a good example. Price comes up here and we've got an outside candle here. This candle sweeps the high and the low of this candle, and then it starts to go back down. Okay, so there's a good example of an outside candle. Obviously this current candle here, and these will only show the last ones because they're the only ones that are really important. You don't need to see when one's happened in the past, because if it's already happened, it's already changed direction, right? So this is a current outside candle. As you can see, it swept only just, but it swept the high of this previous candle, and obviously it really swept the low of this candle, and it has continued to go down. Okay, so that is basically what an outside candle is, and that's how you can use it in your trading. It's very useful if you see it on a higher time frame. You can drop down to a lower time frame and do some more analysis on the lower time frame. Okay, it just adds an extra confluence to your trading. Okay, let's jump across to, let me turn them off, to the high and low, okay, of the previous day. And we can also turn on the close, open and mid-range as well, and turn on the price, the labels to show what we're looking at. Okay, so if I turn this on, this is going to tell me that this is a previous day high, this is the previous day low, and if I turn on the close, open and mid, that will also pop up some extra lines displaying those as well. So that's a really useful tool. Okay, so I'm going to turn them off. We also have Elliott waves in here. We had a couple of requests for Elliott waves before, so we decided to put these in. Okay, these are just basic at the moment on the Elliott waves. We have also had requests to add the numbers to the Elliott waves, so that's something that we can add in a future update. Okay, so as you can see here, this plots in the market structure line for the Elliott waves, and it's also going to give you a Elliott wave break here. Okay, and if we come back into the settings, obviously if you don't want the main market structure and internal market structure here, you can turn these off. Okay, and we have the length here. So as you can see, I've changed it to 3, and now it's grabbing more high and low points with the market structure line. Okay, take the length up, and it reduces the amount of highs and lows that it actually captures. Okay, so that's Elliott waves. I'm not all that familiar with Elliott waves. We've put it in there because we've had requests for it, so we are going to be adding to Elliott waves to make it as functional as possible for all of you that do use Elliott waves. So if you do have any more suggestions on Elliott waves and what will make the Elliott wave segment of the indicator better for you, please drop us a comment or suggestion inside the Discord chat, where we are asking for suggestions on the indicator for future updates, and we will look through those and see which ones to add to the indicator. Okay, so I'm going to turn them off. Okay, you can change the color of the Elliott wave as well. And that brings us down to alerts. Obviously, alerts are really useful if you can't sit in front of the chart. So here, if a main new swing high occurs, a main new swing low, a main chalk, a main boss, a main bull order block, a main bear order block, internal swing high, internal swing low, internal chalk boss, and a internal bull bear, and a bull fair value gap and bear fair value gap as well. That is the settings for the ArtiumPro SMC 2.2. I hope that has helped you when trying to set up your indicator. Now you can use this indicator here in conjunction with our multi-time frame tool. This currently has multi-time frame fair value gaps inside it. We are adding more to this in the future, so it's going to be a complete multi-time frame tool. Okay, and we have the ArtiumPro sessions. Okay, the ArtiumPro sessions, I'm going to do a separate video on this altogether, but very quickly in here you'll see some really good alerts, and I'm not going to go all over the features now, but here, this one I really love. So the price has crossed session high and low after sessions have closed. So if you are somebody that likes to use the Asian range and actually trade the range of that, and when it sweeps the liquidity of the Asian range, this can be used to put on an alert for the Asian range when, after the session has ended, the price sweeps the high or the low or closes above the high or the low, then it's going to send you a notification to tell you it's done so. You can jump on the chart and see what's going on. Okay, so that is just one I wanted to show you. You can use this in conjunction with the ArtiumPro SMC 2.2 to aid with your trading and also get extra alerts there. We have also done a video on the ArtiumPro multi-time frame fair value gap / imbalance. You can check out the settings video for that. I'll just pop that up in the screen up here somewhere for you now, and I'll post a link to that video down in the description as well, so you can find it easily. Okay, so that, like I said, is the ArtiumPro SMC 2.2. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you would like to use the indicator, you can just come to our website, artiumpro.io, okay, and head to pricing, and you can come down here and you can get any of these plans for just $1 for a full access for 7 days to test these out. You will get all premium products for that $1 for the full 7 days. Okay, if you choose you don't want to keep it, it's really simple to cancel. You just head into your account, click cancel, and you will not be charged for the full plan. Okay, so if you want to test out the indicator, then you can do that here. If you have any issues, all access should be given instantly when you sign up, but if you do, you can just join us in Discord and open a help ticket, and we will help you from within Discord. Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed the video. Give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for all of the future updates that we come out with. Also, make sure that you're subscribed so that you don't miss any giveaways. We currently have a 3-day giveaway that is going on right now, so it's only going to be on for the next 3 days. For the giveaway, we're actually going to give away quarterly access to the indicator completely free of charge to celebrate the release of the update. Okay, so enter into the giveaway. Just like the video, subscribe to the channel, jump into Discord and react to enter on the post in the announcements channel, and you'll be entered into that giveaway. And that's everything for now, guys, so I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.
Still go, 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 yeah, go, go, go. hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the